Hey there, API developers, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to take you through a blog post written by fellow developer relations engineer at Liblab, Marcus Placona. And today, I'm going to talk about OpenAPI and particularly oneOf, allOf, and anyOf. Kind of explain the differences in them, go over Marcus's blog post here, which you can also read on our website at liblab.com/blog. So oneOf, anyOf, and allOf are actually very powerful ways to define what subschemas belong to another schema. So I'll give an example of that down below that actually Marcus has written out already. And this is an example of a subschema. So here we have animal defined, and we're saying that animal could be one of a dog or a cat. And so that's basically what a subschema is. It's a schema referenced by another schema. So they are schemas in and of themselves, but when they are part of another schema, we call them a subschema. So first, oneOf is pretty self-explanatory, but it essentially means that when you're defining a higher level schema like animal there, you can say essentially that that animal is one of these two, and it cannot be both. So down here in this example, we see that we have schemas for pet, schemas for dog, cat, and animal. And we can see, for example, that dog references the pet schema and thus must have the properties of the pet schema. And that's the same as cat. It must have the same properties as pet. Where it differs, though, and what we can see here is that dog has two properties here, bark and dig, and cat has two properties, meow and scratch. And animal can only be one of these, dog or cat, as we can see right down here. So what that means essentially is that I cannot pass to animal a object that has meow, scratch, and bark, dig. It has to have either bark, dig, or meow, scratch, and also be a pet regardless. And that's how oneOf works. It makes sure that I'm not passing in a schema that has more than what is expected. And next is allOf. AllOf involves potentially merging multiple schemas. So for example, here we have an employee, and the employee needs to both be a person and have an address, as well as a couple additional properties. And so allOf requires that this employee have all of these. So whereas in oneOf, they can only have one of these two types, and allOf, they need both of these sets of properties. And so here, person needs to have a name and age, and also a street and city. And then they would be properly validated as an employee. And then lastly is anyOf. That gives a bit more flexibility. Sometimes you can accept multiple properties. It really depends on what you're looking for. So a good example of this that Marcus has written out here is contact. And contact can be any of either an object that has an email, which is a string, or a phone, which is also a string. And they can have both as well. That's a contact. An email, it can be either an email only, a phone only, or both. And that's essentially how oneOf, allOf, and anyOf work. If you would like to read a bit more about this, I'll leave a link down below so you can check out the liblab.com blog. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.